Las Vegas, a city built on illusion, a city where secrets are buried in the desert sand, and sometimes they stay buried for decades. But on the night of September 7th, 1996, something happened on Flamingo Road that the world would never forget, and that law enforcement could never fully explain. A black BMW 750 sedan, four bullets tearing through the passenger window, and inside that car, one of the most iconic voices in music history, gasping for air. Tupac Shakur, 25 years old. 6 days later, he was dead. For 27 years, the case went officially unsolved. No arrests, no charges, no justice. Until now, the evening began like any other night of celebration in Las Vegas. Tupac, riding high off a Mike Tyson victory at the MGM Grand, was in rare form. He was seen on surveillance footage getting into a brawl inside the arena with a man named Orlando Anderson, a suspected Southside Crips member from Compton. Hours later, a convoy of cars moved through Las Vegas traffic. Tupac sat in the passenger seat of Death Row CEO Suge Knight's black BMW. The entourage was heading to Club 662, a venue Suge Knight owned. At approximately 11:15 p.m., at the intersection of Flamingo Road and Covell Lane, a white Cadillac pulled alongside the BMW. Someone inside that Cadillac opened fire. Four bullets struck Tupac in the chest, arm, thigh, and hand. Suge Knight was grazed by bullet fragments. Bystanders scattered. Sirens wailed. Tupac was rushed to University Medical Center in critical condition. For 6 days, the world held its breath. On September 13, 1996, Tupac Amaru Shakur was pronounced dead at 4:03 p.m. The Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department launched what should have been one of the most high-profile homicide investigations in American history. It went nowhere. Witnesses refused to cooperate. The code of silence that governed street culture, especially in the volatile East Coast-West Coast rap war of the mid-90s, held firm. People who were there that night suddenly couldn't remember anything. Those who did talk gave conflicting stories. Even Suge Knight, who was sitting in the driver's seat when the shots rang out, claimed he saw nothing useful. Despite being in the vehicle, despite being one of the most powerful men in the music industry, he offered investigators almost nothing. The white Cadillac was never officially identified. The shooter was never named by police. The case went cold within months. For years, it became one of America's most discussed unsolved murders, debated in documentaries, podcasts, books, and internet forums. Theories multiplied. Suspects were whispered about, but officially, nothing. In the years following Tupac's death, investigative journalists and former law enforcement officers began piecing together what police couldn't or wouldn't. The primary theory centered on Orlando Anderson, the man Tupac had confronted and beaten inside the MGM Grand just hours before the shooting. Anderson was a Southside Crips affiliate. Tupac and his entourage were aligned with the Bloods. The brawl gave a clear, immediate motive. Anderson always denied involvement. He was killed in an unrelated gang shooting in 1998 before he could ever be formally charged. Another name kept surfacing. Keith D., a man named Dwayne Keith Davis, an admitted Southside Crip Street boss who had publicly claimed to have ridden in the white Cadillac that night. For years, Keith D. spoke openly to journalists, authors, and even documentary crews, seemingly untouchable. He described the night with chilling specificity. The convoy, the window rolling down, the shots. And then, in 2023, everything changed. On September 29, 2023, Las Vegas Metropolitan Police officers arrested Dwayne Keith Davis, known on the streets as Keith D., and charged him with murder with use of a deadly weapon in connection with the 1996 killing of Tupac Shakur. The arrest sent shockwaves through the music world and beyond. Investigators had spent years building the case quietly. According to prosecutors, Keith D. was not just a witness or a passenger, he was the one who had orchestrated and directed the shooting from inside that white Cadillac. While he allegedly did not pull the trigger himself, that responsibility is believed to have fallen to his nephew, Orlando Anderson, who is now deceased. Davis was charged as a principal under Nevada law, which holds organizers of murders equally accountable. What finally broke the case open? A combination of factors. Keith D had essentially confessed, repeatedly, in public forums. His own memoir, podcast interviews, a television documentary. Over 2 decades, investigators compiled every word, cross-referencing accounts, looking for inconsistencies, building an evidentiary chain that could hold up in court. He had been hiding in plain sight, talking because he believed he was untouchable. He was wrong. The indictment, unsealed by prosecutors, revealed disturbing new details about what investigators had pieced together over nearly 3 decades. According to court documents, the killing stemmed from a long-standing feud between Death Row Records and the Southside Crips, a rivalry that had escalated throughout 1996 and had turned personal. There were alleged threats, prior confrontations, and a growing sense on the streets that reckoning was coming. The brawl inside the MGM Grand that night, the one captured on surveillance camera, was the spark that ignited the powder keg. Investigators also pointed to a financial angle, allegations that Death Row Records had been moving into territory that created dangerous friction with Crips-affiliated street networks in Southern California. Tupac, as the label's biggest star and most visible presence, became a target. Phones were analyzed. Witness statements, including those given to private investigators hired by Tupac's mother, Afeni Shakur, were re-examined. Forensic evidence from the original crime scene was revisited with modern analytical tools. The picture that emerged was one of a premeditated ambush, planned, organized, and executed with lethal efficiency. As of the time of this video, Dwayne Keith Davis is awaiting trial in Nevada. He has pled not guilty to the charges. His defense attorneys have argued that the case relies too heavily on statements Davis made outside of legal proceedings, and that much of the so-called evidence is circumstantial or inadmissible. They contend that decades have passed, key witnesses are dead, and the prosecution is pursuing a case built more on legacy and public pressure than concrete proof. The prosecution disagrees. What is certain is that this case, if it goes to trial, will be one of the most watched criminal proceedings in recent American history. It is bigger than just one man. It is about whether justice has an expiration date, about whether fame and money and the code of the street can permanently shield someone from accountability. For Tupac's family, for his fans, and for the broader community of people who grew up with his music as a soundtrack to their lives, this moment is not just legal. It is deeply personal. Tupac Shakur was 25 years old when he died. He had already released 5 studio albums, starred in multiple films, and become one of the most quoted voices of his generation. For 27 years, his murder remained one of pop culture's most painful open wounds. Now, at last, the wheels of justice are turning. Whether that leads to a conviction, whether it brings peace to a family that has waited nearly 3 decades, only time will tell. But one thing is clear. The night on Flamingo Road may have silenced Tupac's voice. It did not silence the truth. And the truth, as it always does, eventually found its way to the surface. If this story moved you, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We cover the cases that the world forgot and the ones history refuses to let go. Drop a comment below. Do you think justice will finally be served? Let us know.